Welcome to the World News. I'm Randolph Jamias for today's global stories. On top story, Japan's Emperor Akihito greeted thousands of well-wishers at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo on Sunday in celebration of the Japanese figurehead's 79th birthday. The palace ground gates opened to 4,500 patiently waiting visitors at 9:30 a.m. And according to other Japanese media, by 10 a.m., approximately 8,400 people had gathered to hear the emperor speak alongside his wife, Empress Michiko, his son, Crown Prince Naruhito, and other family members from the balcony of the imperial residence. Reports from the Imperial Household Agency put the total number of morning visitors at well over 22,000. Now here in the southeast, Thailand is proposing a major trade partnership with India. Thai Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra said the two countries form the basis of strategic trade alliance between India and 10 nations of the forthcoming ASEAN Economic Community. She was speaking at the ASEAN-India Summit, which concluded in New Delhi.
Thailand and India already have an important trade relationship, and it's a two-way street that's set to grow. This is Phahurat, an Indian district in the Thai capital, Bangkok. It's been established for more than a century. Whilst China and Japan remain the two economic giants of Asia, the Indian market has one of the greatest potentials for Thai trade. And Thailand is an attractive partner for India, looking for closer links with the Southeast Asia region. Commerce between the two countries is soaring. It's running at around $9 billion this year, compared to just $1 billion around a decade ago. And that figure's projected to rise to $15 billion by 2017. Particularly, says this Indian commentator, if the current industrial-based trade is expanded to include professional services and financial investment.
Talking about the servicing sector, I see potential in the tourism. I can see tremendous potential in the infrastructure. As you know, India has got huge budgets to invest in the infrastructure, north, south, east, west roads, flyovers, expressways, ports, what have you. And I can see Thailand has tremendous potential. They have the know-how, the equipment, and the people to undertake building projects in India.
Rubber products, fruit and foodstuffs, computer and electronic equipment, and component parts for automobiles are amongst the goods regularly transported between the two countries. A 1,000-kilometer-long highway is being constructed to open up an overland trade route between India, Myanmar and Thailand, due for completion in 2016. And Thailand is advocating a Mekong-India economic corridor to create a sea route linking India with the deep-sea port being proposed here at Darway in Myanmar and existing facilities in Thailand. Thailand and India already have a zero-tariff agreement on around 80 products, and there are moves to extend this much further. India and the ASEAN countries combined are home to 1.8 billion people, a quarter of the world's population. India's gross domestic product was valued at $1.7 trillion last year. The two regions have a bilateral trade target of $100 billion by 2015. And Thailand is looking to be a major contributor to that total. Martin Lowe, CCTV, Bangkok.
Here in Myanmar, a campaign to ban spitting in public has been gaining popularity in the country, where the sight of people chewing and spitting betel nuts is common, leaving a red stain wherever they choose to aim. The spitting ban was proposed in the late August by Union Solidarity Development Party member Nitu. He sits on the Parliamentary Committee for Population and Social Development and says the ban would keep the streets of Myanmar clean. He also suggested that the betel nut sellers should provide cups or plastic bags for their customers to spit in. Dentists say commonly coated with tobacco is bad for the teeth and gums. People from across Ireland gathered at the ancient Newgrange tomb in County Meath this Friday to celebrate the winter solstice. December 21st is the official start of winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Every year for the past 5,000 years, people have gathered at Newgrange to celebrate the winter solstice, Located deep in the Irish countryside, this ancient monument is the world's oldest known solar observatory.
It took very considerable experience and probably spread over some time to arrange the structure of the building of the tomb so that the entrance would face the rising sun precisely around the shortest time of the year. And I think that is a very considerable tribute to these builders.
The tomb was designed so that sunlight enters the tomb through a hole in the roof and illuminates the inner chamber.
It's just a purely emotional experience. I look at it, try to look at it as an astronomer because that's what I'm interested in. But I've been in the chamber. Unfortunately, I haven't actually seen the sunrise because when I've been in, it's been cloudy. But even so, you get this incredible frisson which runs through you knowing that at that very moment the sun is up there, and if the clouds were out of the way, it would be illuminating the inside of the chamber with all those fantastic carvings which were of great significance to those people. We can't quite interpret them, but it is something that you have to experience really to understand. The main calendar, the men's had a fantastic, very long calendar, and certainly one of the cycles in that calendar called the Bactun is due to end today, but there's absolutely no reason to believe that they thought that would be the end of the world. That is something that New Age mystics and conspiracy theorists and doomsday mongers have latched onto.
This year's solstice was particularly significant as it coincided with the ending of a cycle in the Mayan calendar, a day that has received worldwide attention. In our health news, it can happen to anyone at any time. You took over your coffee cup or touched the hot stove and you've got a burn. You should get medical help immediately if a burn is bigger than 4 centimeters. In general, all burns should be treated quickly to cool the burn area and avoid more damage to the skin. Here's what you can do at home to treat a small burn.
Ouch. Perhaps a traditional home remedy like oil and white flour would help.
No, oil and flour are outdated and you should avoid it. It will just make the scalded skin sticky and dirty.
Instead, a minor burn should be cooled. The best way to do this is to hold it under cold water for at least 5 minutes. It's simple but effective.
If you've scalded yourself, you've come into contact with hot steam or water at about 100 degrees Celsius. That's very painful, and you want to reduce the amount of skin damage caused by the burn.
Instead of cold water, you can also use ice cubes or cool packs, but they should never be placed directly on the scald or burn. Freezing the skin will just cause more injury. Afterwards, aloe vera can have a cooling and moisturizing effect, but only if the skin is unbroken. If it's blistered, you shouldn't put anything on it.
A blister means the skin is loosened. With any luck, the blister will stay closed, which will heal more quickly. So don't pop the blister. It will dry up on its own and protect and cover the skin.
If the wound is open, a clean dressing can help, or an antibacterial silver Band-Aid. Burn ointments should be avoided.
Burn salves should only be used by specialists in the hospital. At home, they'll just dirty the wound, so don't use any creams or ointments. Instead, make sure the burn is dry and that you bandage it properly. You don't want anything sticking to it, so don't use any greasy salve. Leave that up to your doctor.
Minor scalds and burns can be treated with basic first aid at home and should heal within a week or so.
Meanwhile, in China, white-collar workers and university students got to release some stress and forget about the pressures in life by taking part in a pillow fight in Shanghai on Saturday. The pillow fight, which has taken place just before Christmas for the last 6 successive years, was designed by Huang Na as a creative outlet for releasing stress. He said that the annual stress release was important for young people facing pressures from work and school. Around 200 participants held pillows above their heads as organizers counted down before the 10-minute fight, which saw pillows and feathers flying through the air. Tickets to take part in the pillow fight cost 180 yuan, or about $29 US. And sports news, Banque Populaire was holding second place in the Vendée Globe round-the-world race across the South Pacific on Saturday, only 34 nautical miles away from leader François Gabart on Massif. Organizers released video on Saturday, the 43rd day of racing, showing Banque Populaire skipper Armel Leclerc in festive mood and saying that he hoped to reach Cape Horn and cross from the Pacific to Atlantic by the new year. The race started on November 10, 2012, and after rounding Cape Horn, the fleet will be heading up to the Atlantic towards France and the finish. And that's the first half of our stories. Don't go away. We'll be back shortly.